In 2 weeks, you'll be at the beach. Can't you feel it getting hotter? From the producers of Melrose Place and Beverly Hills 90210, Sunset Beach, premiering in 2 weeks on NBC Daytime.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to a very special podcast. This is the podcast in which we watch all of your favorite TV series from yesteryear and then discuss them over a glass of wine. I'm Patrick M. Dunn, and I'm joined here, as always, by Kat Halstead, the author.
Hello, what is up, people? I don't know why I say that every time, and it's not like people answer.
They will one day. One day, someone will just whisper back. It's the start of a horror movie.
Great, just what we need. Ah!
What's the one with Kristen Bell and she was haunted by, like, Wi-Fi ghosts?
I have no idea.
Pulse. I think it was called Pulse, maybe. I was going to say Bell, but that was her last name.
Dork.
Anyway, tonight is a very special episode of the podcast because it is our 2 years Too Furious episode.
Woohoo! I cannot believe we made it 2 years.
Yes, we've lasted longer than so many things, like Glenn in the Big Brother house. We lasted longer than him.
Okay, come on now. That's not that difficult.
We lasted longer than Katherine Heigl's last television series.
Again, not that difficult.
And
something difficult that we've lasted longer than. Come on now. We've lasted longer than Kim Kardashian's marriage to Chris Humphries.
That is true, and we've survived the Ebola scare of 2014, yes. The Zika virus.
Let's hope we survive that.
Yes, I'm sure there was like a few apocalypses that were supposed to happen in between.
Yes, but we definitely survived the Ebola, especially since we mentioned it in like the first 10 episodes.
Yes, because there was like crazy Ebola time in America, and we made it. We're still here. We're not like bleeding out of our eyeballs.
No, we are not.
Anyway, tonight's episode is also special because it's the first time we've ever had a special guest.
Yes, this is super exciting. I feel like this is kind of our high school reunion.
Yes, because we tried to get Jared Leto, but he was not available.
No, he just doesn't respond to our tweets.
No, we should set up a P.O. box, though. Maybe he will send us some like Suicide Squad gifts.
You mean if he's not still bitter?
I'm sure he had a good time doing all that, so he's probably not opposed.
But do you really want to receive a dead rat?
I don't. It's going to go to our P.O. box. And, then
and which one of us is running this P.O. box?
We'll get like an intern or something. We'll throw it out there.
We'll get an intern. Apply to be our intern. Tweet us at Very Podcast.
Yes. Or maybe we can get our guest today. Maybe we can like trick him into being our intern. All right, so tonight's episode we've talked about this before, I think. We said that we've always wanted to do a soap opera for the show.
Yes.
And we were going to do the General Hospital episode where Luke saves the world from being frozen.
From the deep freeze, thanks to Cassadines.
Yes, we are putting that on hold. We might wait for the winter until that happens. The next time we have like a polar vortex or something.
Mm-hmm.
So instead, because it's summertime still for a few more days, we've decided to do something a lot more summery. So we chose the short-lived NBC series, Sunset Beach. It was like the lowest rated television series of all time, pretty much.
It never found its stride.
In America, anyways, it was like a big hit overseas. Like,
yeah, the UK, they wanted to like save the show, and they tried to like partner with NBC to try and like keep production because it was so popular.
I think that's the only reason why it probably ran for 3 years. It probably would have been canceled after like a year or two had.
Well, also, it was at that point where it got cut when the NBC daytime executive was a little cancellation happy.
Passions, I believe, premiered the same year that Sunset Beach was canned. Is that right?
Damn Passions.
Which I've never seen.
You've never seen Passions?
No. The only thing I know about is that weird little short guy that died a couple years ago.
Josh Evans.
Oh, yeah. He was like a wooden doll that came to life. That's all I remember. That's the only thing I know about it.
So you don't remember the whole, like, creepy Princess Diana storyline?
Vaguely. I remember hearing about it, but I think I just did not want to get into it. I just did not want to.
Yeah. I tried to avoid getting into Passions. However, all of my friends at school were like, Kat, what's happening on Passions? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't watch it. I was an Another World fan, so I'm not watching. And then I kind of just got sucked into it.
One soap opera on NBC was going to get the boot, and it was either going to be Another World or Sunset Beach in order to make way for Passions.
Yeah.
I think everybody thought it was going to be Sunset Beach.
Yeah, everybody assumed it would be Sunset Beach, but they cut Another World, and I am still bitter about that, NBC. You are still in trouble because of that.
That series was on for like 300 years.
It got canceled like right after its 35th anniversary.
That is a dick move.
It was the same age that I am now.
And it got better ratings than Sunset Beach, so it was kind of a mystery. Maybe because it was the demo, like it wasn't attracting new audiences.
Yeah, they kept trying to go younger and younger, but they forgot about they have to keep their core audience too.
Yes, you just bring in this whole new crew of people. The longtime fans are going to abandon the show.
Exactly.
And Sunset Beach skewered to a younger... Did I say skewered?
Yes.
Skewed to a younger audience. And that was their goal.
They wanted the younger audience. They wanted it because it's a Aaron Spelling show.
Yes. So I think before we get into this show in depth, I think we should introduce our guest.
Yes.
Coming onto the podcast is our first guest of all time. I'm probably going to say his name wrong. Steven DiFiori.
I believe that's how you pronounce it.
And he's one of our longtime internet friends. And we are going to discuss Sunset Beach for like the next hour. So without further ado, here is Steven DiFiori. Welcome to the Roundtable, Steven. Welcome to a very special podcast.
Thank you. Yes, I'm excited for this.
Making your podcast debut.
Yes, popping the cherry.
We chose you for this episode because you were part of the fandom of Sunset Beach all those years ago. Like 20 years ago at this point.
Yeah, it'll be 20 years in January.
So hold on, 20 years ago was what?
1996. So this was like the first fandom I was really a part of. Online fandoms were really strange back then.
They're really strange now.
Now they're just death threats.
So I believe we are in presence of the fan club president of Sunset Beach, online fan club.
Actually both presidents.
Was Steven the president also?
I was?
Yes, because I stepped down and then you took over. I found the website earlier today.
You can still go to the website?
Still online.
What is the URL?
It's like a tripod website. It's not even GeoCities. It's a tripod website.
Are there like broken links and ads all over it now?
Like, I went to the Wayback Machine version.
All right, so I think you should describe the fan club because I really don't remember too much about it. It had a newsletter, like a email newsletter.
Sunset Beach didn't have an official fan club yet. And I remember at this point, I was like talking to you guys. And I said, we should start a fan club because I'm 15. What do I know? And I was like, we could start a fan club. That's how you do a fan club, right? You get the fans together and you start a fan club.
You go to a message board on AOL.
Yeah, you go to the message boards or the little like chats on AOL and you start a fan club.
If you went to keyword soap opera digest in 1997, it would bring you to their section of America Online. And it was like a little community. They had like links to chat rooms and message boards. and you could converse with fans and like just chat about the show, that day's show, or just who your favorite character was, or spam them to get people to join your fan club.
Yeah, exactly. Be like, let's have a meetup on March something 1997 in this chat room.
A scandal erupted. A Sunset Beach scandal.
Oh my gosh. There's this woman. I don't know how old she was.
Her name was LaDonna. I remember that.
LaDonna. Sunset Bum.
That was her AOL screen name.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah, she was so pressed about this unofficial fan club. She's like, you can't be a fan club. You can't be a fan club. NBC's going to make a fan club. I'm like, well, they haven't. Why are you so upset? Because she wanted to run the official fan club, I think.
She was cyberbullying teens. Little did she know that she was cyberbullying teens.
She's like just one of those mean old ladies.
And I think I had like some affiliation with it, and you would have me like act as like a spy.
You were like vice president.
No, I didn't. I had like something. I think I had like a column in the newsletter. I would hold up a microphone to the TV and I would record sound clips from the show, and then I would create them into WAV files, and then I would email them out. So that was like my contribution to this fan club. But because I had like a connection to it, and you were like banned from life from it for some reason, like you would try to make another screen name and she would figure it out.
Like, I don't know why she hated me so much. Gosh.
It turned into like an episode of Alias. Like I was like working both sides, working both angles.
Yes, but we know you were on the side of good in the end.
But there was like nothing to report though.
Yeah, there's nothing.
Like we didn't have like staff meetings or anything like that. It was just...
No, I don't even like remember ever really talking to the people who did the newsletter, like maybe once in a while.
She tried to thwart your goals. So I think you had to like change it from a fan club to just like...
To like unofficial fan club.
You did that. Then I think you just like gave up on that and just made like a GeoCities page.
Then we put the tripod page up. Yeah, it was tripod.
Tripod versus GeoCities. And Tripod is still standing, so I guess they won that battle.
Well, it's because they didn't get sold to Yahoo, who was like, let's destroy GeoCities.
If you were really desperate, you would go to Angel Fire.
Oh my gosh. Which gave you like no space at all.
You had like 1 megabyte maybe?
Yeah. Well, back then you would get like 2 megabytes for your website for free. Like 2 megabytes is nothing.
What was like really cool, I think GeoCities was like the first one that bumped it up to like 10 megabytes, and you were like, oh.
Yeah, well, first they went to 5, and then they went to 10, and then they went to 15.
I can make a photo gallery now.
It was all about the photo galleries.
Yeah, I can like put more than 2 pictures up.
Or if you just did what I did, you just made like 47 accounts.
Yeah, I think, oh my god, if I had to figure out how many GeoCities, Tripod, Fortune City accounts I had back then, it was probably multiple of everything.
No, they were hard to keep track of, and the URLs were really long and complicated. It was like Television City /3652/ and then like a bunch more numbers.
Yeah.
And then they finally, like, I think in like the 1999, they shortened it down to whatever your username was, which made it a lot easier.
Because they're like, oh, maybe this doesn't work this way. Because you were supposed to be in your communities that were like supposed to be interest-based, but you could never get into the community you were really supposed to be in.
But one thing I wanted to bring up, I believe Steven was the official Cam Heskin website creator.
That was me.
She was an actress on the show. She played the second Caitlin Deschanel.
Yes, Caitlin Richards Deschanel.
And you somehow like tracked her down on the internet. You emailed her, and you like didn't she like mail you pictures?
Oh yeah, she would mail me a ton of autographed headshots. She would send her modeling shots. She would send letters. I still have a keychain she sent me for Sunset Beach. I found it in my car. It's all beat the hell up.
That's awesome.
That's crazy.
I just looked her up on Twitter. She is on Twitter. I just followed her, so it's possible maybe she'll find out about this episode and you guys can reconnect. You can shoot the shit.
I am actually friends with her on Facebook.
Oh shit, really? So okay, so you still
Yeah, she not quoted, but she commented on a Batman quote that I put online a couple of years ago.
Oh, damn, Gina.
I was like, who the hell is this? Yeah, I was like, oh, Cam, yes, I remember you.
It's like, of course I remember you.
I learned today that she no longer acts.
No, she's a teacher, but then she's an editor for a magazine.
Okay, fancy. Fancy stuff, Cam. Shout out to Cam.
Oh, the only thing I learned about her today was that she did 3 sequels to the Prince and Me movies.
I have one.
Yes, she replaced Julia Stiles.
There was 3. I found that out when I was going through everybody's IMDb pages today.
I have seen them all. I'm not going to lie.
Have you?
Yes.
Seen 1.
I didn't know there were that many movies until today. Wow, Patrick. Wow.
Rode that franchise as far as he could go. All right. And another thing that we should mention is that Steven has actually been to not the real Sunset Beach, but Seal Beach.
Mm-hmm. Where they used to film on location a couple of times.
So the series didn't actually film in Sunset Beach. I guess maybe it's a slum in real life. I don't know.
Sunset Beach is not a real place, Patrick.
There is a Sunset Beach. It's a mile south. Well, mile. It's the next beach south of Seal Beach. There's no pier or anything fun. It's just like a shitty little beach. So if they wanted it to look nice, they had to move.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, like it sounds better than Seal Beach. Like you're not going to watch a show called Seal Beach. Like, I'm sure the creator of the series was just, like, cruising through California one day trying to think of, like, the name for the show. And drove through Seal Beach and was like, oh, this is such a beautiful place.
No. Aaron Spelling wanted the show to originally be called Love Never Leaves, but it didn't test well. Sunset Beach tested better than Love Never Leaves.
I would have never watched a show called Love Never Leaves.
No.
I know, I would not have been, I would have been as interested in Sunset Beach.
There's too many syllables. That would come up on my preview guide scroll, and I would just keep going.
Back when the TV guides still actually just kept scrolling and scrolling and scrolling.
Yeah, I actually do have one of those channels because I don't have a cable box, so I still use that channel, believe it or not. Fun TV fact. Like, I have a TV show podcast, and I don't have the latest technology.
I have cable. I very, very, very rarely use it.
Well, I stream all my TV through cable.
So Steven's been to Seal Beach, and you have photographs of the neighborhood that they film in, which is amazing because they did a lot of outside scenes for the show. Like a lot of daytime shows would do indoor or interior sets. Like if they were ever even outside, it was just like a fake set.
The one park bench.
Like Days of Our Lives and the one park bench that everybody sits at. Which, they add the plants to when they have to bury somebody.
And then if they have to do like another part of the park, they just like move the props around.
They don't even do that most days now on soaps. No, there's like that one set and it's tiny and it's just the same spot. Everybody always meets in like the same spot. Like maybe there's multiple spots in that park that look like that supposedly. But it's the exact same set for everything. It's the same damn bench every freaking time.
Procter & Gamble isn't springing for the money anymore.
Procter & Gamble is out of the soap business.
Are they?
Yeah.
Damn.
They've been out of business since they,
canceled what was it? As the World Turns, the last good one they had.
What is left? Like, what is standing?
We still have The Young and the Restless, The Bold and the Beautiful. Days of Our Lives is barely hanging on.
I'm gearing up for the cancellation.
And General Hospital is barely hanging on.
So CBS is still killing it, basically.
CBS has the perk of Bold and the Beautiful being so popular around the entire world that it's a major moneymaker. And The Young and the Restless has been number 1 for 20-something years.
Well, it doesn't have competition anymore, so it's...
So it's not as much of a, ooh, we're number 1.
But I'm sure like it gets the same ratings that Sunset Beach probably got in 1997 today.
Actually, it probably does get similar ratings.
Pretty much.
Like, I think if we should probably look that up one day. They're probably pretty close.
We'll put it in the show notes.
So why don't you just pick up your hoop skirt and your work boots and take the next bus back to the corn country where you belong?
All right. So you can find pretty much every episode of Sunset Beach on YouTube.
Which is amazing.
There's like 700-ish episodes, right?
Yeah, there's 755 episodes, I believe.
I watched the first 35 recently.
I watched the first one recently because we're doing the podcast, and I might just plow through this over the next, 3 months. There's nothing stopping me. We'll have to do one for every episode now.
Oh my god, no. No more spin-offs! No more fictional spin-offs, Patrick!
Can we call it Sunset Speech? Alright, so the first episode premiered in January of 1997, which was a wild time. I believe this is just before Bill Clinton scandal erupted.
Yes, this is about a year before that scandal.
It's a much simpler time. The internet was just booming.
Yeah, people were just starting to figure out the internet. I've got a few internet questions after watching this episode. Like, really? Really?
There are some great things going on in the show. So the show opens with a beautiful aerial shot of the coastline, reminding us of how beautiful California can be. From above, it's beautiful blue waves and golden sands, and it spares us from the sight of all the transients, petty thieves, and knick-knack vendors that wander up and down the shoreline. But speaking of transients, the first person we meet in the show is Tiffany Thorne. She's like a pretty teenager. She's a runaway. She wears mid-90s merry-go-round fashions, and she has like the cutest puppy ever.
I love Spike.
Yes. Doesn't Spike outlast Tiffany on the show?
Yes, and Spike has dialogue eventually on the show.
Yes.
Remember that with the baby.
He is a voice actor.
Wasn't it Tom Hanks' son, too?
Was it? Colin or Chet?
I think Colin. I believe he did voiceover for one episode as either the baby or the dog.
I wish I had seen that on IMDb. How was that not in the trivia, for crying out loud, people? Do I need to do everything?
He expunged this information from his records. Tiffany's a little adventurous. She ran away from home. Do we know why she ran away from home? Do we ever find out?
I don't think we ever find out, like, why she ran away from home.
Or where.
She's kind of like a poor man's Gwen Stefani, just kind of like rolling through SoCal. And she takes comfort sleeping under lifeguard towers and just does not care about like murderers and rapists that are like wandering around out there.
Yeah, she's not worried about any of that, like, at all.
No, she just like rolls up in her sleeping bag with her dog. Like, that dog is not going to attack anybody.
Except for maybe Tim Truman.
Yeah, does Spike hate Tim Truman?
Well, in the final episode, he definitely snaps at Tim in the Kansas stream.
Oh, okay. You know, I gotta revisit that. Tiffany, she's scared off by the lifeguards, Michael Bourne and Casey Mitchum. They're like Baywatch rejects. Basically, their only contribution to this pilot episode is they just walk around in bathing suits.
And there is nothing wrong with that.
And they get to drive a cool truck and talk to like girls in bikinis. That's like their whole like contribution. And you know what? Does Casey ever get a storyline in the series? I can't even remember.
Well, he has that romance with the Asian doctor,
Ray Chang.
Yeah, when they because they both buy the beach shack together.
Surf Central?
Yeah, Surf Central. Because that made sense. And then he dates Meg's sister, Sarah, the one who is the Monica Lewinsky-esque character.
Yeah, I never liked Sarah. She just came in the show too late.
She was bitchy.
Yeah, Sarah kind of just pops in. She's kind of bratty. And then Casey and Meg do have a little thing going after Maria comes back from the dead.
Okay. Like, I know, like, Casey and Meg have this, like, friendship, but...
Yeah, they become best friends, and then they have a small, like, promise of a romance.
Yeah, it's not really explored, though. Their friendship, they just kind of, like, remember each other, that they exist every now and then, but they don't explore it too much. Like, Casey's, I think for the first, like, year and a half of the show, he's just kind of like a background character. If someone just needs, like, a shoulder to cry on, he's there.
He's, like, the best friend, because he's Paula's best friend. He's just, like, that. He's a hot guy who apparently none of these girls would ever think to date.
He could have, like, a secret life we don't know about, though.
Well, he was early on studying online to become a lawyer.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. That is so bold for 1997, like, to study online to become a lawyer.
And he was doing it in secret because he, like, told his parents he dropped out of school to be a lifeguard or something ridiculous like that.
How else are you going to pay for that online college?
Exactly.
Do you think it was University of Phoenix?
I have no idea. I just remember, like, there's so much online stuff that in 1997 it just seemed so unreal, even though we were all online.
Yeah, this show really tried to embrace, like, the whole internet realm of things because we're going to hop over to Ludlow, Kansas right now because that's where we meet Meg Cummings. She's a naive 20-something who twirls her hair a lot and she always just stares off into the cornfields and wonders what life is like outside the safety net that has been carefully laid out for her by her mother, who is not only played by the same actress as Cindy Walsh, but is Cindy Walsh.
Yeah, the only thing that was missing was the snack tray.
I was expecting, when I was rewatching this the other day, I was expecting, is her name Joan in this?
Yes, it is Joan. I had to look.
Can we just call her Cindy Walsh for the rest of the episode?
I have her as Cindy in all my notes.
Yeah, because that's what I kept calling her.
So Cindy Walsh comes out because Meg's just kind of just chilling on her front porch, staring off into the cornfields. It's her wedding day, but she's not really into getting married. She's just been kind of fed this idea that's what she has to do.
She's like that small town girl who thinks, okay, I have to marry the guy I dated in high school, and we'll get married. Maybe I took a couple classes at the college.
Yeah, is she the small town girl from the Journey song?
She never stopped believing.
She just might be.
She never did because she got the fuck out of there very quickly, too. So Cindy Walsh comes out. She sees Meg, staring off into the cornfields. It's, early morning, and Cindy Walsh says, your wedding's, in an hour. Did she get married at, 9 a.m.? What the...
I know. It was, early, because, okay, so Kansas is Central Time, and Sunset Beach would have been Pacific. So, how the heck early is Ben Evans getting up? Because he's chatting with her on their computers, and neither of them have to dial in. Their computers are already set up to the internet. In 1997, there's no, knocking you off if you're inactive, or if too many people are trying to get online. Come on now.
It's just so funny because it's morning in Kansas. It's, dawn, basically. The sun just came up. But it's also dawn in California also. It would have probably been dark there, I'm assuming.
Yeah, everybody in Sunset Beach would have probably still been asleep.
Yeah, because it was, really bright. It was brighter in California than it was in Kansas. Kansas, it looked like the sun was just, popping up over the horizon.
Well, it was an overcast day.
But in Sunset Beach, it looked like it was, maybe, 9 a.m. already. But Cindy Walsh comes out. She's, she's trying to, comfort Meg on her wedding day, and, Meg has these reservations. She's like, fuck. She's like, you know what?
Have you ever felt like you could see your entire life spread out right in front of you?
Little do we know, she's having this, flirtatious online affair with the character Ben Evans. She doesn't know his name. She just knows him as SB.
Okay, why would he pick that name, SB? It's basically BS. Come on now.
This is it's 1997, and the internet is no longer just for dungeon dwelling 30-year-olds to live in with their parents. Everyone's starting to get computers, starting to use these outdated words now, cyber chat.
Did you just say dungeon dwelling 30-year-olds living with their parents?
Sorry, Kat.
I know, I'm just giving you shit.
They're using words like cyber chat and cyber mail and stuff like that.
Our cyber chats have meant more to me than I could ever put into words.
We didn't use those words back then.
We didn't even use them then. We don't use them now. No one's ever used them, but I feel the writers on the show, they were trying to appeal to a younger audience.
Yeah, they were trying. They tried. We'll give them that. They tried.
They probably saw that MTV news segment that aired in 1995, which explained the internet. It was a 6-minute video that explains the internet, and they say words like cyber chat and cyberspace and information superhighway, and they probably just remembered those words and they just wrote them down, and that's what the writers rolled with.
And I love the screen names too, because I remember with ours they always had to be 8 characters, and it's Dorothy from Kansas with spaces, and then SB. You were not allowed 2 letters, had to be at least 4. Because I always wanted, I was I want to make mine SD. I'm going to be like Ben.
Your screen name is too short. You're like, fuck, why? And he had periods. It wasn't even just the letters. It was S.B.
Most places you can't still.
They have the strangest internet interface too. So this is what I call TV internet. It's not real internet. It's just whatever they use, it takes up the whole screen. And you only see one side of the conversation, which is their side.
Yeah, you don't even see the other side.
So when Meg is typing, you just see whatever she's typing on the screen, and then that's it. And then they cut over to Ben, and she doesn't see what Meg says. You just see what he's typing. So it's like you just used like an MS Word at that time, and maybe they created like a little graphic to put beside it, and just had the actors type.
Let's be real. Most of the computer interfaces on TV are fake. So fake that they just don't make sense.
Yeah, but like, you know what though? Like shows now though, because I was watching something the other day and they showed like an iPhone and did like actual like iMessage screen.
I wish Days of Our Lives would use like real looking text message things instead of something that looks like Sunset Beach would have done in 1997 if we had texting.
Just pops up on the random side of the screen over there.
And it's always so weird. It's like, oh my god, well, I'll find you the next time I'm watching Days and they have a text message pop up, I'll screen cap you one, Pat.
Please do it. And is it like a size 96 font too?
It'll be like, it'll pop up on the screen. Like like Rafe will be, say I'm texting, and it'll pop up like right here.
Like on the side? On
this like empty space, yeah. And it'll be like this blue graphic. And they just don't make sense.
There's another show that does that. Is it My Crazy Ex-Girlfriend that does that?
Well, like most shows, if their characters are texting, they'll start popping up the text on the screen, or in movies they'll do that. But most of them, the bubbles look like an actual text interface, but on Days of Our Lives, it doesn't at all. Well, I just love whenever they like cut to the phone on a show, like General Hospital. Everybody in town has like the exact same phone, and they have everybody's picture and phone number in their phone. So like people who should not have each other's phone numbers, they'll get a call from someone randomly, and it'll be like, "Oh, look, there's Sonny Corinthos' picture. Why do you have Sonny Corinthos in your phone? You have no reason to know this man yet. You just got your ass to town 2 days ago."
I would love if they did like the background explanation, like, oh, like, you know what, like she ran into Sonny Corinthos at a bar and he just was like, hey, you should call me sometime. We should totally go out for brunch someday. And he's like, here's all my info and here's my pic. Here's my pic that everyone uses.
It is possible.
Port Charles is a small town. There's only like 30 people that live there.
Yeah, when 2 leave, 2 more replace them.
Yeah, like 2 people move out and they're like, someone's like, oh shit, there's like a vacancy.
And then suddenly they look different. Like one day you look like Tyler Christopher. The next day you look like Nick Stabile.
It's in the water. The water changes you. So shall we get into more about Meg's flirty cyber relationship with SB?
Yes, let's talk about Dorothy from Kansas and SB.
So I guess like for some time they've been communicating over the net.
Yes, they've been talking. They've been chatting. We don't really know what they're chatting about. What started the connection. I don't know if we ever find out.
This is like the wild, wild west days of the internet where the only way you would connect with people is like through like a shared interest.
Mm-hmm.
So you would have had to have some kind of like forum that you would have gone to.
Yeah, you would have been in the same chat room or the same message board or news server or whatever.
Ben is a widower.
Yes, he's a widower. He was married to a woman named Maria who died mysteriously.
And Meg is engaged. So, like, where were they together on the internet at the same time?
Ben's this British guy who lives in Southern California, and Meg's just this Kansas girl.
Did they both like the same band, like the same TV show? Like, I just want to know the backstory of like how they connected. I don't think the writers thought this out.
Like, I don't think they realized that there had to be like something that connected them. Like, did they sign up for a pen pal? Is that what they did? Because like I remember before I was on AOL, I was on Prodigy, and you could like become pen pals with people. But again, you had to have a shared interest.
But Ben is such a shutout. Like, he did not want to have any connection with, like, anybody whatsoever. So, like, what was he doing on the internet?
I think he was trying to deal with his loneliness.
But he just wanted to do it anonymously?
His options were either go online and talk to somebody, or talk to Annie.
Annie Douglas she's Ben's neighbor. The dialogue they give her is ridiculous.
Ben Evans actually cares what? Not to mention who I do.
She's always has these metaphors, like sexual metaphors for things. And they always play this like sultry music whenever she's on the screen too.
I won't beg, Ben. I know you too well. You could have any woman you want. Hole up here at the beach like a monk.
That's my choice. My business.
My ass.
Well, yeah, but look at who her aunt is. Aunt Bet. Aunt Bet is walking around town looking to lay whatever young guy she can get.
Aunt Bet is like the horniest woman in Sunset Beach.
She's a hero.
And I just love that no matter what, we all call her Aunt Bet. I think the only ones who don't are like the people her age. Like Gregory and Olivia and Elaine.
Because they grew up with her, so she's just like Bet. Like, I think even Meg eventually calls her Aunt Bet.
She's everybody's Aunt Bet.
And she's sharply dressed. She doesn't work. She's just like living off of her like 7 ex-husbands like pay, like her alimony pay. It's like 11 o'clock in the morning. She wakes up. She has like a martini. She's like always has a drink in her hand. Like she shows up at Annie's house. It's like 9 a.m. She like walks in, pours her drink is the first thing she does.
Well, of course, Annie has liquor all over the place too. Because she had her wild party the night before.
Yeah, she had like the craziest party. Which I wonder who went. Because like after this episode, she has like no friends.
Yeah, seriously. Like the people who go to these parties are the people who go for the free liquor.
Her only we learned like her only friends are Ben, and is she friends with Ricardo?
Only because she was friends with Maria. Like they're not really friendly. Like they know each other. Ricardo probably thought Annie was like the little brat that got his sister into trouble.
Yeah, but like Ricardo wouldn't have gone to Annie's party, right? Like Eddie definitely went.
No, Ricardo and Paula were not going to that party.
We know that Ben went to Annie's party because he mentioned like it was like 11 on like a 1 to 10 scale, I think is what he said.
Yeah.
So he was definitely there. We know Eddie, the cop, was there.
Well, he also lives right next door.
Yeah, so he probably heard like whatever was popular at that time. Like Usher was playing or something, so he like strolled over.
Actually, no, Usher wasn't.
The Wallflowers.
Yeah, because Usher wasn't popular until after, like right around the time he was on The Bold and the Beautiful. And he wasn't on The Bold and the Beautiful yet because Adrian was on Sunset Beach, so she wasn't on B&B yet. Because Usher's character slept with her character.
I definitely had an Usher CD in 1998, though, so...
Yeah, that was like... Because Adrian left Sunset Beach, like, within the first 3 months.
So Adrian played the character of Tiffany. We should just get that out of the way for our confused listeners out there.
And then she went to Bold and Beautiful, where she played Amber, who hooked up with Usher's character, Raymond.
I could see her good.
Usher's character was named Raymond, even that was like his last name.
Where'd you sleep last night?
With Brad Pitt. But before you ask, we're just good friends.
So, do you think Aunt Bet went to Annie's party?
I'm sure she had a male companion for the evening who was helping her stretch before her tennis lesson.
Like, you don't think that she like came by for a nightcap at all?
I think that's where she met the guy stretching, helping her stretch for the tennis training.
Okay, good point, yeah.
I feel like, yeah, because Aunt Bet is like the cougar before like the word existed. She is the cougar of Sunset Beach.
Studly young tennis pro at the country club, the one it takes weeks to get a lesson with? Well, my dear, is he a mouthful?
Yes, she's a total cougar before cougar was like a cool thing.
This is like the original cougar town right here.
Right here. Aunt Bet. But Annie had Bet come over because Annie's dad showed up earlier, Dell, and he was like pissed because Annie wasn't in law school and she was just wasting his money.
Yeah, I completely forgot about this aspect that she was a law school student.
Like, I cannot imagine Annie as a student, like, at all.
She becomes Gregory's wife at some point in time, and... Because
Dell's will says she has to marry Gregory by a certain point, by midnight some certain day. So first, Annie has to, like, break up Gregory and Olivia. Which, let's be real, it wasn't really that difficult.
No. Judging by this episode... So, Olivia in this episode, she actually was, like, my favorite character for a while until she became really pouty. I loved her in this episode because she's, like, just chilling on her, like, $1 million patio. She's just sitting in a lawn chair. It's, like, I don't know, 5 a.m., whatever time it's supposed to be. And she has a screwdriver already. She's just, like, sipping on it.
Or a mimosa. She's got something.
Now, I think she had a screwdriver because she pulled out a flask and poured something in there, and I was thinking it was probably vodka.
Oh, I missed that.
And she has this, like, very intense monologue. her husband Gregory is there, and he's like on the phone. She's like talking right next to him, and he's not acknowledging that she's like talking at all. He's just kind of like talking over her.
What happens, it just gets squashed.
Yeah, he's just ignoring her because he's too busy planning an Aspen trip for him and his daughter because creepy. His obsession with their daughter.
I think he was like trying to rub it in Olivia's face though. I think that was like his whole intention. And she's just being really like vindictive. She's like, she has like her wedding ring off. She took her wedding ring off and she's like...
Yeah, she's got like her huge diamond ring off and she's like trying to fry this fly.
With the reflection of the sunlight. The whole thing is like she slowly wants to burn the fly, just like she slowly wants to burn her husband's relationship with her. And then he just takes like the newspaper and smacks the fly and like kills it dead.
Which is probably my favorite scene of the whole episode. Because it sums up those two characters, I thought. I was like, that's a great way to just introduce them. And then even 2 years later, it's still the same.
They never patch things up.
Like, really, how could they patch things up?
Every now and then, Gregory gets horny and they make love, but then it's the next day and it's back to normal.
And he's back to obsessing about their daughter.
Does Gregory even care about Sean at this point? The other son?
No, I don't think Gregory, realizes Sean exists 99% of the time.
Like, Sean's a mama's boy, right?
Well, because he's not getting attention from his dad.
You mean Steve Sanders' his brother?
Yeah, so the character of Sean is portrayed by Randy Spelling, who on 90210, he was also Steve Sanders' half-brother. He had a few acting roles in the late 90s.
Well, he was also on another Spelling show called Malibu Shores.
Basically, he played the same character in all three shows. Just some spoiled teenager.
Well, it's easy to do that when you're Aaron Spelling's son.
Then he became of age, spiraled out of control. What was that, Princes of Malibu? Was that the show he was on?
I think so. Something ridiculous like that.
Some crazy reality show. Then he vanished. And then Kat and I found out 2 years ago that he is a life coach now.
Yes, he's the life coach.
I actually follow him on Instagram. Super gray. He has a gray beard, everything.
I just want Candy Spelling to send him a decent webcam for his YouTube videos. That's all I want. Candy, come on. You can spare a couple $100 to buy your son a decent webcam. I know you're not giving any money to Tori, but come on, Randy could use a little help.
He spent all his Princess of Malibu money, and he has nothing left from it. And you know what? His life coach career is probably not doing as well as he thought it would.
We don't know. I don't know. I haven't followed him for a while. Steven's the only one here following him.
We'll have to get Cam Haskin and Randy Spelling on the same episode so they can talk about sibling rivalry on the set of Sunset Beach.
And I heard that they actually used to date when the show ended because they did a movie together called Held for Ransom. For a little while they were dating.
I do remember that movie because I followed, for a few years after the show ended, I followed the actors for a little while. Then I kind of lost track of everybody. I think only a few of them have really gone on to anything. Eddie Cibrian, I think, is probably the biggest star that came out of the show, probably.
Oh, yeah, Eddie Cibrian. But it's not even for his career. It's just for, what's her name, Leanne Rimes. I don't know what he's done.
Oh, he's done stuff. He was just on Baby Daddy. He was on Baby Daddy. He had that show on NBC that failed, Playboy Club. I loved that show. It was actually really good.
All right, so I know we're kind of going all over the place. So should we talk about how Meg gets out of Kansas and eventually ends up in Sunset Beach?
Okay, yes. So Meg, of course, she's wandering around the church in her wedding dress. And she's outside Tim's room. And I think she wants to talk to Tim because she's kind of freaking out about the whole, getting married thing. So she probably wants to hear those, comforting words from her fiancé. What does this poor girl hear instead? She hears Tim making plans to hook up with her maid of honor when they get back from the honeymoon. And then she pushes the door open and they're, making out hardcore. So she does what any young woman will do. She goes out, because she obviously has a key to his car, gets in it, and drives away.
What is she doing? Meg! Meg! Hey! Where the hell are you going with my car?
There's a little bit of a backstory to this. So before the wedding scene, Meg asked Cindy Walsh if she ever had any regrets, and Cindy Walsh was like, "Oh, my biggest regret, my biggest dream is I wanted to drive through Paris with my hair blown in the wind in a red convertible." And it just so happens that Tim Truman has a red convertible out in the parking lot.
Because that's totally how the world works. A boy in Kansas is driving a red Mustang. Like, okay, what the heck did Tim do in Kansas?
He was probably like a farmhand, maybe.
Yeah, like, I'm thinking he's a farmhand, so he has a red Mustang.
They probably rented it for the wedding just so they can kind of like drive away in it, maybe. It's like for show. They went to like Enterprise Rental or whatever the Kansas version is of that. So there's this like real significant scene. So Meg doesn't confront Tim at all. She just leaves basically. So before she left the church, like she was having her last communication with SB, and he says, like, if you ever feel like getting like down, out, and crazy, just come to Sunset Beach or something like that.
Yeah, okay. Ben Evans, who is like this proper British guy, says this. It just makes no sense to me. I think I wrote it down and I was just like, what the heck was that? And also, okay, so Ben and Meg are not allowed to continue talking when she marries Tim.
Yeah, like I didn't understand that either.
I mean, I guess Tim would get jealous that she's talking to some guy online. I mean, I've had boyfriends get jealous because I'm talking to you, but it's ridiculous because it's just friendship.
All right, so the greatest scene, I think, of the whole episode, though, is... So now it's, like, after Meg finds Tim, like, making out with the maid of honor. So it's, like, outside the church now, and it's, like, the porch. And, like, Tim's, like, saying hello to all these people that are coming up. There's people, like, walking up the stairs. Cindy Walsh was out there, too, I think.
Like, she's right by the door.
Yeah, she's, like, right by the door. And then the camera, like, pulls away. And you just see, like, you see Meg she's already in the convertible, and she, like, pulls up out front, and there's, like, already, like, dust, like, sputtering out from behind the wheels. And she, like, grips the steering wheel really tight. She's like, goodbye, Kansas, or something. And she, like, just hits the pedal to the metal. She, like, takes off, and Tim looks shocked. You would think that Cindy Walsh would be like, what the fuck is going on? Instead, she, like, cracks a smile.
I kind of get the feeling that she was not totally down with Tim, but she thought it was what Meg wanted, so she was going to support her daughter.
Ungrateful bitch.
But it's just kind of like, do you think there was like a cut scene where like Meg went up to Cindy Walsh and was like, hey, I just saw this happen, but they like just cut it out of the episode?
No.
But because I'm figuring that the Cummings paid for this wedding.
Yeah, I'm like, you still have to pay for, like, everything.
So, like, I don't get, like, why Cindy Walsh was, like, smirking. Like, she's like, fuck, like, we just dropped, like, 20 G's on this wedding here.
What are we gonna do with all the food? We still have to pay the DJ. Now we have this giant cake.
So, I'm assuming she goes home and she changes out of her wedding dress, just packs, like, a small suitcase, like, one bag.
Yeah, she packs, like, a bag, grabs her, like, laptop. Doesn't pack any cords.
She goes home and she just gets her laptop, like 3 outfits, and like a sundress.
Yeah.
Goes to the airport, flies to California.
Okay, no. You forgot the best part about on the plane.
Plugs her computer in.
Okay, 1, she's sitting next to Bosley from Charlie's Angel. And 2, she can connect to the internet via the airplane phone in 1997. Until she drops it, like, in the middle of sending an email that Ben somehow gets, but he can't reply. She doesn't get the reply.
And then he, like, gets the message, and he's like, oh, shit, she's, like, on her way. And he, like, tells her, like, not to come anymore, but, like...
He's like, do not come to Sunset Beach!
Does she get the message
Nope.
or not? I can't...
No, I don't think she does.
Her internet died.
Not until, like, days later.
Oh, yeah, you know why? Because I remember this now. They show, like, the computer screen, and it's... The screen turns black, and in big white letters, it says disconnected.
Yeah, because that's totally how it worked.
Yeah, and she's like, oh, I must have had a bad connection.
Yeah, you're on a freaking airplane! And it's 1997. It's not like today where I can go on the plane with my phone and connect to the Wi-Fi.
So she gets to California. She doesn't know anybody. She has, like, one bag of luggage. She's just kind of, like, roaming around. She goes to the beach, and I'm assuming this is the first time she's ever seen the beach.
Yes, it probably is. I think I have that in my notes. She, like, does that whole go to the beach. She gets the poppy, cheerful song, and the montage of her, like, checking out, like, the beach and the sand.
2 things happen here. 1, the song that plays it's not even like a 90s song. It reminds me of like someone that would have like opened for like Taylor Dane in like 1987.
Yeah.
And I was so nervous for her luggage this whole episode because she just like plops everything she owns down and she just like walks up to the water.
Yeah, she keeps doing. It's like the classic thing, like in any like movie or TV show, the new person in town just is like so trusting they just put their luggage down, doesn't expect anybody to take it.
She drops like everything she owns on the sand. She walks like 50 feet to the water. She like gets her feet wet, but then like a wave comes up and she gets scared, so she like runs back real quick. It's like that kind of moment.
Yeah.
Like now all of a sudden she's like hungry, so she hits up the waffle shop.
Because that's the only eatery in town, apparently.
There's 3 businesses in town. There's Elaine's Waffle Shop.
And you don't eat the waffles at the waffle shop.
Which is just like a diner. There's the Java Web, which is like a cyber cafe.
Because that was totally a thing. That I remember. That was actually kind of like accurate, I think.
We had one in Tempe when I moved to Arizona like 14 years ago, still open, briefly.
I was really jealous of that cyber cafe. Like, I wanted there to be one, like, where I lived, and there never was.
Yeah, I think every coffee shop now is a cyber cafe because they all have free Wi-Fi.
And then the other business was the bar that they go to at night, The Deep.
What are these names? The Deep.
Ben owns, like, almost all of the businesses in Sunset Beach, except for the waffle shop. Doesn't really work at any of them. He just kind of like collects the money, I guess.
Yeah, Mark is the one who basically runs both.
So Mark Walper, he's like an early 20s something coffee barista by day and a swanky bartender by night. Like Tiffany Thorne, he also ran away from home, but he worked his way up from the bottom, and now he can afford nice things like puka necklaces and fresh Aeropostale threads.
And chain wallets.
And yeah, he does have a chain wallet. The shirt that he wore in this episode, I think I owned that too.
Every time Mark was on screen, I was just like, oh my god, this is just... Between Mark and Meg, they were just so pure 90s with their clothes in this episode.
Those like back to school catalogs that you get in the mail like in August, that's like what they wore.
They were like the cutting edge of fashion.
Yep. I remember like when it was like back to school time, I wanted to try to go find like Mark like clothes. And they were always so expensive. Like, you can, whatever he wore in this episode, you can buy for like $4 now.
You could totally dress like Mark now.
So it makes it better. It's vintage. It's sad, but 90s are now vintage.
That is true. That is true. Mark meets up with Meg at the waffle shop. So like Meg walks into the waffle shop.
No. Mark meets up with Tiffany. He catches Tiffany trying to steal Elaine's tips.
Oh yeah, I kind of like brushed over that. So Tiffany... She's scared off from the beach by by Casey and Michael. She goes to the waffle shop. Like a previous customer leaves like a $3 tip, and she like is about to take it, and Mark is like, "Hey, don't you do that?" And they know each other apparently.
Yeah, they know each other. He's like giving her coffee. He's trying to like take care of her because he's been a runaway. He knows that life on the street is not the best, and you got to kind of pull yourself up by the bootstraps and try to move on.
But she thinks that. Like, he's just trying to, like, nail her. So she's backing away from everything. She's not really... She's like, why are you doing all this stuff for me?
Yeah, he had a serious hero complex.
She's, like, really apprehensive of him. Because, like, he, like, finds, like, an abandoned, like, school for her.
Yeah, and the abandoned daycare. And she's like, what do you want in return? Because I am not doing that.
I was more concerned for her sleeping there than under the lifeguard tower, because I can imagine like someone could have used that abandoned school for like a meth lab or something.
Exactly. Like the whole thing is sketchy. It looks like it's gonna fall down. At least you know what's gonna happen at the lifeguard tower. And Michael and Casey were actually like looking out for her.
Yeah, keeping an eye on her. Like, they were eventually talking about, like, how they're going to eventually tear the building down, but, like, It's okay for now. And then he's all like, oh, yeah, like, you can decorate the place. He's like, I got you a filing cabinet. Like, what the hell is she going to put in the filing cabinet?
Like, she doesn't have anything. She has a dog.
I think between her and Meg, they both, like, who had more?
Yeah, I think Tiffany had more stuff with her than Meg.
Meg probably had more expensive stuff because she had probably like a $7,000 laptop.
Yeah, she had the laptop.
So Tiffany decides to live inside the daycare center anyway. She's like, you know what, fuck it. Like, I guess it's better than sleeping on the beach. Like, I'm not gonna like wake up with like sand in my ass crack or anything like that. I guess like Mark steps away from the counter for a second and like Tiffany steals the tip anyway. At the same time, Meg walks in. Meg sees Tiffany steal the tip, right?
Yeah, Meg sees it. And then Michael walks in right after Tiffany leaves.
Yeah, Meg is so shocked because she's probably never seen anyone like steal anything in her life. No, like she's so naive. The audience, like we're supposed to be Meg because I guess this is supposed to be a new world for us, just as it is for her.
Well, let's be real. Meg is your main character. If there is a main character, it is Meg.
I forgot how much I liked her in like the earlier episodes. Like as the show went on, I liked her less and less.
The longer her hair got, the more I hated her.
That is true.
Yeah. Like, she has short hair in this, and I was like, oh, I like Meg. And then by the end, I was like, shut up, woman.
Like, oh, well, she got so, like, spoiled and cocky.
She got, like, orangier. Didn't she? She had, like, a fake tan after, like, the first, like, 6 months.
Yeah, she got tanner. Well, I mean, now she lives in California. She was in Kansas before, where the sun wasn't shining.
Yeah, but that was not, like, a natural tan, though. That was, like, a spray tan.
Yeah.
And this was, like, before they perfected the art of spray tanning.
Actually, I don't even think it's a spray tan. It was probably a tanning booth. She probably met Ashley Hamilton's father, George, and he introduced her to a tanning booth, or his tanning oils or whatever.
It is possible because Ashley Hamilton was on the show for like a month.
Yeah, he was like on the show for the first 6 weeks or something.
So they could have like developed this like strange friendship. And he's like, oh, you know what? Like when they go to like our after parties, you should meet my dad. And he's like, you know what? You can't be on a show about California and look pale like the way you do. And she's like, go on. And then he introduced her to like Panama Jack.
Maybe that is why Ashley Hamilton left. Do we even remember why he left?
Because he was awful.
Now, do you think, did they ever replace that photo of him at Elaine's coffee shop too?
I think they did at one point, didn't they?
They had to have, because I'm sure they actually like looked into it. Or at least it was gone by the time the waffle shop got destroyed in the earthquake.
That's what I was wondering, if it was just like a one-off thing.
No, but it seemed like they always showed the picture, though. Like, at least in the first, like, couple of weeks of the show. So,
well, yeah, because they kept talking about the legend of Sunset Beach.
Yeah, so we should explain the picture. So,
as legend has it, in the 1920s, a European aristocrat named Armando Deschanel thought he had found the love of his life. He dueled to the death for her, but his victory came with a price. He was forced to flee his country. If that wasn't bad enough, Deschanel discovered that he had lost everything for love that wasn't true. He found himself in America, on the shore of Sunset Beach. As he stared out into the Pacific, he wondered if he would ever find true love. A beautiful woman dressed in black appeared, magically by the water's edge, and walked toward him. They fell in love as they watched the sunset together. Deschanel knew that it was this magical place that had brought love to him. He hadn't found love, it had found him. They married, and built a beachfront castle as a monument to their eternal love. Eventually, a small beachfront community arose, inspired by the Deschanel Castle. The legend promises everlasting love to those who meet at sunset on this beach. Although the castle no longer stands, the legend lives on in the town of Sunset Beach. If you're intrigued by the Deschanel, just go to Elaine's, where the legend is alive and the photographs covering the walls and in the owner's many stories. Or sneak a peek at Cole St. John, a new resident of the town who just happens to be Deschanel's grandson and his spitting image. And if you've been burned one too many times in the game of love, maybe you should take a stroll down Sunset Beach. Hey, you never know.
Was that from the official fan club newsletter?
Maybe. But it's like when the Santa Ana winds pick up and the sun drops behind the pier. If you see someone standing near you, that's the love of your life.
Yeah, it's like the first person you see. And then like in this episode, they of course have to have Meg. She's like just chilling on the beach.
Having just heard the legend.
Because she totally buys into this. She just heard the legend like 20 minutes earlier. So she's like, oh fuck, it's almost sunset. So she goes out there. Ben's just, I guess, doing like his nightly run or something.
His nightly stroll, because he hasn't worked all day. He's just like hung around the house and went for a jog.
Cyber chatting. And, he did go by the swings, though. Like, I guess Maria's swing set.
He has to have that awkward moment by the swings.
Yeah, and then, you get that weird, voiceover thing that's playing in his head.
Push me, Ben, push me higher, right?
Yeah. Yes. And then, do they acknowledge that she died in the pilot episode? Or is you just still trying to figure it out?
We don't know what's up. But
they keep showing, I guess Ben has the portrait of Maria, in his living room.
Yeah, he has that painting she painted of her on the swing.
It's not even hung up, it's on an easel. And the camera, every time they show inside Ben's house, the camera at the end of the scene always has to do a quick 4-second.
There got to be a point where I hated that damn painting.
Plus it looked nothing like her.
Yeah, it looked nothing like, it was just so stupid.
Well, spoiler alert, they eventually bring Maria back. She's not really dead.
And of course she has to show up right when Ben and Meg are getting married.
Yeah, well, they brought a character into the show who had amnesia, and the only person who interacted her was Meg, because she's I guess the only one in town that would not know her. And Maria didn't know she was Maria. She had was her name Tess?
No, she was Dana.
Oh, Dana. Okay, so her name was Dana. Meg knew her as Dana, and then Meg ended up inviting Dana to her wedding with Ben.
No, it's after the wedding. They've done the ceremony, and they're doing the bridal bouquet toss, and she comes in, she's drenched because it's been raining, and Meg throws the bouquet, and in comes Maria as Dana and catches it, and everybody's like, oh damn, it's Maria. And Annie gets super excited because Maria and Annie are best friends. Okay, am I the only one who could not picture Maria and Annie as friends?
Yeah, when they actually brought Maria into the show, they were completely opposite of each other.
Total polar. I cannot picture these two having coffee together once in a great while, let alone being the best of friends and getting into trouble together.
Did they ever have scenes together?
Yeah, and usually I think it would be Annie going, "Oh my God, are you and Ben back together? You and Ben need to get married. Oh my God, you guys need to be back together."
Even though Annie spent a year and a half of herself trying to get with Ben for some reason. I'll never understand the logic. Every storyline in the show involved one female just trying to break up another couple just to wedge themselves in there. And the wedges got crazier and crazier. We haven't really gotten to the character of Michael and Vanessa, but
Vanessa's not in this episode.
She was awesome.
They eventually introduced the character of Virginia. She is batshit insane. First of all, Michael murdered her husband, but she does not care.
No, but she wants Michael bad.
She invents a disease that she gives to Vanessa, which causes...
Okay, is this the thing that makes that where Vanessa skin got all green and scaly?
Because her mother had it.
Okay, I had forgotten all about that. Okay, and then I was watching the promos today. I watched 188 promos and bumpers, and there was something I was just oh my God, didn't Vanessa have some weird disease where her skin turned green and got all reptile scaly stuff? I was oh, what is this show?
They put bubble wrap on her face. It was supposed to be some weird skin disorder. Virginia went to a witch doctor who invented a potion that could mimic the symptoms.
Madam
Mrs. Moreau.
Mrs. Moreau, yes.
The best part about the show is it started off kind of serious.
It started out like a soap opera, and then it got weird.
All right, should we talk about how this episode ends? Because it's such an iconic ending.
I love this ending.
Speaking of naive Meg, she's just kind of strolling around through the beach, dropping her luggage and just forgetting about it.
Hold on, you gotta back up. You gotta back up to the part where Casey and Michael are on the lifeguard tower, looking out at the sunset, and they're another perfect day in paradise.
Oh, yeah. And Meg still has nowhere to go. She hasn't even figured out where she's spending the night. She hasn't checked into a hotel or anything. She's just been seeing the sights.
She's just been wandering around the same 3 blocks. Does she even have money?
She must. She probably took all the wedding cards and just took the cash.
Oh yeah, she probably stole the money from the wedding.
And she'll pay him back when she lands herself a job or something. Eventually, she decides to partake in Elaine's Legend of Sunset Beach, which is like the first person you see on the far side of the pier when the sun and the moon are up in the sky at the same time and the winds come out of nowhere. So she's kind of like in the middle of that, and Ben comes outside and they lock eyes for a second, but like right when they lock eyes, Tiffany in disguise, she's wearing like a sweatshirt and like a hooded sweatshirt and like a hat, and she grabs Meg's bag, runs off, hops onto like a bike, like she steals a bike too. Meg's chasing after her and she's like keeping up with her, surprisingly. Someone sees it. Does
Mark witnesses it.
Yeah, Mark witnesses. So like,
and Mark immediately knows it's Tiffany.
Oh yeah, so she's like trying to like keep up with them too. Tiffany's like dodging people. She gets like hit by a car, doesn't she? Or she like
Yeah, she runs the bike into a car.
Yeah, she like hits a car though, like with her bike. She like falls off it, giving up at that point and like just taking off. She recovers, grabs the bag again, gets back on the bike and like goes to the pier. Meg follows her to the pier, and like Tiffany hides in like a construction section, like under construction, like do not enter.
Yeah, because it looks like they're repairing the guardrail.
Meg doesn't even see her go in there, but Meg just decides to go in there anyway.
Well, she looks in and she sees the bag get pulled into the hiding spot behind the bucket of the excavator.
Oh, see, I wasn't sure if Meg actually saw that or not.
Because then after she sees that, she goes in. But Tiffany sneaks out. And then Meg's dress gets caught on the excavator.
Yeah, and then she falls, she falls into the ocean in slow motion and just splashes into the water. And you're, like, the first time I saw this, I was like, fuck, like, is she dead? Like, what's gonna happen?
It's like, oh my god!
Spoiler alert, she lives. She probably suffered brain damage because after this episode, she becomes horrible. She makes a lot of horrible decisions in the show. She moves in with strangers, like, the second day she's there.
Yeah, she moves in with, like, Casey and Ray, who don't even know each other. She accepts a job at the Java Web in the Deep from some guy she doesn't know.
After Annie's father is murdered, she decides to, like, just randomly team up with Annie, who's supposed to be dead, to solve the murder of Annie's dad, Dell. Like, she doesn't know these people, and she's like, it doesn't make any sense.
Meanwhile, she's also trying to figure out why Ben keeps that one room upstairs locked.
Doesn't she go into the room and there's, like, blood everywhere or something?
It's the bloody room.
It's, like, 8-year-old blood.
That wasn't really bloody. Like, okay, if Ben had murdered Maria in that room, like, wouldn't he have cleaned it up after years? And the blood would not still be bright red.
Yeah, like, Murder 101, clean up your mess.
Like, come on, people.
Yeah, I think it's like after the first time Meg and Ben have sex, she just like walks by the room and she just like opens it up and she finds like all the blood. It's just paint, right? Wasn't it just paint?
Yeah, it was just paint. I don't think they even had sex. I think she just like spent the night or was there without him. I think she was there without him.
Oh, I thought there was like some big like magical moment, like they finally like.
I think they finally kissed.
Okay, so like something happened that like strengthened their relationship, like. And she was like, finally, I'm happy. And she just like walks by the room and it's like, the door is like cracked, I think. Didn't Annie unlock the door?
Yeah, Annie unlocked the door because Annie's the one who covered it with the paint.
Maria died. Ben like freaked out one day like after she died and he just like trashed the room and just like never went back in there again. There was just still paint everywhere.
No, I think the reason it was locked, it was Maria's studio.
Like, yeah, but it was still wet paint everywhere.
Yeah. Maria's been dead for like 5 years.
Yeah, dead for 5 years. Even if it really was blood, it would have, like, darkened.
Exactly. I watched enough 48 Hours in the ID channel to know this stuff.
Oh, yeah. But, like, and Meg freaks out, and she, like... Is that the point where she moves back to Kansas? Is that what sends her back to Kansas for, like, 3 weeks?
I don't remember her even going back.
Yeah, I don't really remember her going back.
It's when Annie and Tim are trying to break Ben and Meg up.
Yes, that does sound somewhat familiar.
All right, so I think before we end the episode, we should go around the room. We should all talk about, each briefly go over our favorite storyline from the series. So we can all take a moment, think of how crazy and ridiculous this series was. And I'm going to start. I thought this is like, there was a plot. So at one point in time, so the character of Caitlin and Cole, they get together. And Cole is a jewel thief, like a world traveling jewel thief. And he came to Sunset Beach to steal the Deschanel jewels. And he finds out that they're at Olivia's house. But, like, at the same time he's wooing Olivia to get the jewels, he's also wooing Caitlin. But he's, like, unbeknownst to him that they're mother-daughter. So he's, like, banged both of them. And he knocks both of them up. Both of them are pregnant by Cole. Caitlin, unfortunately, has a miscarriage, but Annie steals Olivia's baby, passes it off as Caitlin's, and they, like, raise it. They raise this baby.
Yes. Okay. So when I was watching, like, every there's a playlist on YouTube of, like, 188 promos and bumpers from Sunset Beach. Almost every single Caitlin and Cole promo mentions the fact that he slept with her mother. It's all, but she doesn't know that he slept with her mother, or she doesn't know that her son is really her mother and her husband. Like, all this ridiculous stuff. Like, every promo, or even, like, just the Cole one. It's like, he slept with his wife's mother.
The best part, though, is, so Caitlin does not want Cole to know that she lost the baby, so she just wears, like, a pillow, like, under her, like, shirt for, like, 9 months.
As all good soap characters faking a pregnancy tend to do.
But they never get close enough where he realizes it's fake. And Caitlin teams up with Annie to steal Olivia's baby.
Well, the thing is, Caitlin doesn't know it's Olivia's baby.
No. But does Olivia know?
Olivia finds out eventually. Because there's eventually Olivia finds out. But she keeps it a secret until the baby is sick and needs blood from the birth mother. And then she's, like, in the chair, like, having the blood drained from her. And Caitlin walks in because she, like, wants to thank the woman or whatever. It's like, you're my baby's mother! And then there's the whole who's the daddy, because they didn't know if it was Gregory or Cole.
That was when Caitlin found out, right?
That's when Caitlin found out they slept together, like 2 years later.
But she stayed with him, though.
Yeah, she stayed with him. They, like, ran off because Eddie Cibrian wanted to do prime time, so they got written out.
All right, so has anyone thought of their favorite plotline yet from Sunset Beach?
I kind of love the Terror Island stuff, even though my boy, Mark, died. Especially thinking that Ben killed him, when it was really his twin brother, Derek.
Yeah. I remember I actually, like, edited all of the daily episodes and just got rid of everything that wasn't Terror Island. And I made, like, my own Terror Island movie, because that was around the time of Scream 2. And I was like, I don't want to watch Scream, I want to watch Terror Island.
We were all so weird.
Right? It was like, a month worth of episodes.
Yeah, because it just kept going and going.
All right. Do you have a favorite storyline, Steven, out of the 3-year run?
Mine was, it was very gimmicky, but the Shockwave storyline. Not so much the earthquake, but the tsunami or whatever on the cruise ship.
The Poseidon Adventure, like, ripoff that they did.
Yeah. Just seeing, like, Bet hanging from the little thing over the sky or whatever, I don't know, it was hilarious. It was so cheesy, but it was impressive. And, Ricardo has to save everybody, and, who was it, the priest, Antonio, was, just came on the show, and he was like, look at me, I'm a priest, but I'm the hero now. I'm going to be the one saving everyone with my brother. I don't know, it was so gimmicky, but I loved it. And Gabby with her little haircut there.
Yeah, I liked Gabby, and then she got, like, the short pixie cut, and I did not like her character anymore. Like,
see, Gabby had the exact opposite with her hair with Meg. Like, Gabby was cool when she had long hair. But the shorter it got, the worse she got. Like, first she breaks up Ricardo and Paula, though Paula was, like, jealous of, like, any woman that was in, like, who could get near Ricardo. Like, the woman could be, like, his 5th grade teacher saying, hi, Ricardo, how are you doing? What are you doing these days? Oh, you just got made detective? And Paula would have been like, who's this bitch?
So, Gabby accuses Ricardo of raping her.
Yes.
Then they eventually get together on the show.
Yes, they are she is the love of Ricardo's life, according to a promo. And then she sleeps with his brother, the priest.
I loved her. She was awesome. Gabby was probably my favorite character by the end of the show. Even though she became super like boring and heroic, and I don't like that. I like my villains. She was probably my favorite on that show.
Hey, do you guys want to hear some of the trivia I found? Okay. The character of Meg was originally supposed to be named Susan, but they changed it because Susan Ward was cast in the role.
And Ben and Susan just sounds weird together.
The character of Olivia was originally supposed to be named Sheila, but Leslie Ann Down was like, guys, that's a derogatory Australian slang term, so maybe Olivia or Stephanie would be better, and they went with Olivia.
Yeah, Olivia is more fitting, I think. It's more classy. It's a classy name.
Vanessa Dorman was originally cast to play Tiffany, but before filming started, they gave her the role of Kayla, which became Caitlin. So they were just changing names all up and down this place.
Yeah, I don't like any of the original names they went with. They're all
like I'm like Kayla. That doesn't work. Like I can't see Olivia and Gregory naming a kid
Kayla. Like Sheila.
Yeah. And then the last contract actor added to Sunset Beach was Sean Cannon, who played Jude.
He was like late in the series run though, right?
Yeah, he was added in August 1999. So like right before they were good, like right as they started their last 6 months, before they got the cancellation. I think they got canceled like a month and a half before they ended.
Yeah, I don't remember him that much. I know he had a thing with Annie. That's all I remember.
Yeah. It's about all I remember. It's like he had obviously been on General Hospital as AJ. Then he hadn't done Bold and the Beautiful yet. No, he did do Bold and the Beautiful. And then he did Sunset Beach. And then he did Bold and Beautiful, Young and the Restless, GH, Bold and Beautiful.
I don't remember his character at all.
He was like some federal agent or something working with AJ Deschanel.
Oh, is he trying to catch Gregory for some reason? Is that?
Yeah, I think he was trying to catch Gregory.
Because Gregory was a murderer. He killed Francesca.
But come on, did anybody really care that Francesca died?
I did.
Steven, you're the one person.
Well, she was in Batman Returns. I'm drinking out of a Batman glass right now. Anyone that's in a Batman movie should live on any soap opera that they're in.
In honor of Francesca Vargas, we'll pour one out for you, Francesca.
I'll just sit here and drink my Ecto Cooler.
I think that's a good note to end it on, the pouring out of Francesca Vargas. May you rest in peace. You survived the tsunami, but you did not survive the hands of Gregory Richards. All right, so thank you for being on the show this week, Steven. I think you should definitely come back in a future episode.
Yes, thank you very much for having me. This is fun.
I think we should give him the honors of picking one of our Halloween episodes, because we have been trying to figure this out.
I know you did the Roseanne ones.
So we're trying to think of a movie to do.
So far, we have done in the past, we did Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2, and we did Hocus Pocus, which I think Patrick is still mad at me about.
Yeah, I did not care for Hocus Pocus. I'm just going to throw that out there.
I'm sorry, I'm a basic white girl.
The first year we did the podcast, you really pushed it, and I was like, maybe next year, because I assumed it would never come, but a year later came, and I was like, all right, well, fine. Just get it over with. So I think you should have the honors of picking a Halloween-y themed, something that we can find easily, too. All right, so join us next week when we watch whatever that is. Probably. If not, it'll be like a Roseanne episode. And as always...
Bye!
Until next time.